In Taoism, there is a part of the body when you're using spiritual exercises. It's called the inner hall of refinement, and it's known as Dantian. Dantian is a position in the body. Anatomically, you won't see anything there, but it's rather like chakras, which are a concept, but they're not anatomically correct.
Hello and welcome to 22 Steps into Spirituality based on ancient Freemason wisdom with Dr. Chris Earnshaw. Welcome back, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us again. This is our 12th episode. I invite you, if it's the first time around, to go back and look at the other 11 episodes. We are hands-on practical advice based on Chris' new book. This is kind of like a sneak preview. And it's very much hands-on spiritual advice based on Freemason teachings. And I invite you, if you do some of these exercises and you feel like sharing it with us, please on YouTube, leave some comments. How did it go? How it went? We would very much like to know how you felt doing these exercises. And with this, I give the floor to Chris.
Thank you. So lesson 12 is about the middle chamber. In lesson 11, we talked about the winding stairs, 3, 5, 7, 9 or more. And instead of going upstairs, you actually go down the stairs. And it's imagination. You're doing exercise in imagination as you go down, and you change your consciousness as you go down, and you end up at the bottom of the stairs in another small room. This small room is the middle chamber. It's the same as the previous one, but inverted. And of course, the middle chamber represents the inner temple of King Solomon's temple in the Masonic law. In Taoism, there is a part of the body when you're using spiritual exercises. It's called the inner hall of refinement, and it's known as Dantian. Dantian is a position in the body. Anatomically, you won't see anything there, but it's rather like chakras, which are a concept, but they're not anatomically correct. As the Dantian is about 5 centimeters lower than your navel. And yes, my notes, my manuscript. So this is where we can start cultivating many things in this room. And in Freemasonry, this is the place where the fellow craft Mason receives symbolic wages for his spiritual labor. It also represents the heart center, where the divine presence is realized. It's not so much a space, a physical space, but more a state of being. In Taoism, this is an energy center, rather like a chakra, but in Taoism, they only have 3 of these. And it's often called in Chinese the middle palace. And the way to activate the energy from this Tao is, first of all, just to touch that place just below your navel, 2 inches or 5 centimeters. And then when you found the position, start to breathe through that place. So when you breathe, imagine it's where your finger is. And do that a few times. Many people may be familiar with the Dutch, not quite sure what to call him, spiritual teacher perhaps. His name's Wim Hof. He teaches a certain type of breathing exercise, and it's a way of breathing that circulates your breath. In Taoism, what they do is to breathe through the Dantian below your navel. And you breathe through there, and then you raise it up your back. You see, imagine the breath pulling the air from Dantian, from the back, up to the top of your head. And when you get to the top, it comes down again to the front, back to Dantian. That's one cycle. Now, the important thing is to breathe out, breathe in. So it's like sucking air from the Dantian to the top of the head in one breath. So it goes, breathe it. When you get to the top, you exhale and the breath goes down the front of your face, the nose, through the center of your chest, back to Dantian. That's one cycle. So what you want to do in Chinese is to incorporate the qi energy. Qi is kept or is rather maintained in Dantian. And to live a strong, healthy life, you need strong, healthy qi. But most people do not exercise the qi. And they just, if you're Western, you're probably not even aware of it. And if you're in the Far East, you're aware of it, but you don't do much about it. So here's a good exercise. So when you breathe in, and you suck the qi energy, it's either qi or ki, depending on China or Japan. The qi, you suck it up to the top of your head, and then you let it, with the exhalation, the qi runs down the front of your body and back. Now, you want to be able to do 20 or 30 of these without stopping. And the important thing is the imagination. So you have to imagine this. First of all, you have to imagine the qi is actually in that position below your navel. And then you have to be able to suck it up to the top of your head and then exhale it very carefully, slowly, if possible. And what happens is your body will become very warm. First thing that I notice where I do this, particularly my hands go bright red, because you are stimulating not just the qi, but also your circulation of your blood. And so the blood is becoming, how should I say, saturated with qi. And as you visualize it going round and round, and this will become quite important later in the course on spirituality. What else is there to mention?
Sorry?
Yes, sure.
You mentioned the importance of the heart. That's always like the big key. Is this part of this exercise, or is this just something you mentioned that will become later more important? The heart as a purification.
Yes, so in this case, it goes through the three centers of the key energy, and the heart is not so important. In fact, the kidneys are probably more important. Yeah. But as the qi goes up and round in a circle, it floods the whole body with qi. It's not just a thin line going up the back, up the spine to a crown and then back down again. It's actually floods the whole body, and that's why your hands get warm. And if you are a healer, you will notice that the qi energy is very strong in your hand, which is very important when you're healing people. So, yes, I think that's probably... So, again, you can reflect upon your experiences, and if you've never experienced qi before, you'll find it's very interesting. What you can do is, for example, focus the qi in your forefinger. And you just look at your forefinger and focus and say, qi is in there. And you can write on your other hand and you can feel what you're writing. If you're writing an A, a V, X, you can do the same on a partner's back. Have the partner face away from you and just point your finger, energized finger, on their back and then write whatever you want, like an X, and ask them what they felt. And they can actually feel this qi energy penetrating their body. And if you look on the internet, there's some very interesting experiences with Qi. But yes. So this is just the beginning of making your body stronger and more fit for purpose for the spiritual exercise that we're going through.
This, of course, was another very interesting, very hands-on lecture, the lecture 12. Thank you so very much. And one more last time, if you've done this Qi exercise, we would love you to share, if you feel open to it, how it felt, how did it go, and we are looking forward for your comments. And with this, I say thank you very much, Chris, for giving us one more snippet of your knowledge. Thank you.
You're welcome.